Imagine a civilization so powerful that it built monuments defying time itself, a civilization that transformed deserts into thriving cities and worshipped gods who seemed to walk among them. Now imagine it all disappearing. What happened to ancient Egypt? And why does its story still haunt us today? Today, we'll uncover the breathtaking rise and shocking fall of ancient Egypt, a tale of ambition, genius, and downfall. If you think history is boring, think again, because ancient Egypt didn't just write history, it etched it in stone. And let's be honest, who hasn't looked at a pyramid and thought, did aliens help build these things, or were ancient Egyptians just way too good at math? Origins of power. Over 5,000 years ago, along the banks of the Nile, something extraordinary began. The river didn't just provide water, it provided life. It became the backbone of an empire. But the secret to Egypt's rise wasn't just the Nile, it was their unity. A king or pharaoh claimed divine power, uniting Upper and Lower Egypt under one crown. Imagine having a boss who says, "By the way, I'm not just your ruler, I'm also a god." That's a mic drop moment. Right, but how do you prove you're a god on earth? By doing something no one else could even dream of, and that's where the pyramids come in. The pyramids of Giza weren't just tombs, they were power plays. These towering structures screamed, "Look what I can do." Built with over 2 million stone blocks, each weighing as much as an SUV, they remain one of humanity's greatest mysteries. How did they move those stones? Slave labor, ingenious engineering, or maybe aliens? Just kidding. Probably. Think about it. These were created without modern tools, without machines, but with vision and grit. And at their peak, the pyramids were polished in limestone, gleaming like giant mirrors reflecting the sun. Imagine the awe, the fear, and the pride they inspired in anyone who saw them. But no empire can shine forever. As Egypt reached its zenith, cracks began to form beneath its polished surface. Internal struggles and external threats. Here's the thing about empires. They often collapse under their own weight. For Egypt, it began with succession crises. Rulers became less godlike and more mortal. Meanwhile, external forces were circling. The Nubians from the south, the Assyrians and Persians from the east. And then the Greeks. Remember Alexander the Great? He didn't just visit Egypt, he conquered it. What's more ironic than a pharaoh being overthrown by someone who didn't even speak their language? Imagine being Cleopatra, the last queen of Egypt, and knowing you're not just losing your throne, you're losing 3,000 years of history. No pressure, right? But even in decline, Egypt refused to fade quietly into history. In fact, their fall was just the beginning of their immortality, the legacy of ancient Egypt. Even as Egypt's political power crumbled, its cultural power soared. The Greeks copied their architecture, the Romans adopted their gods. Even today, the mysteries of Egypt captivate us. Just look at the number of movies, books, and conspiracy theories dedicated to it. Here's the haunting truth. Egypt didn't just lose its empire, it lost its identity. Over centuries, invaders erased their language, their religion, and their way of life. But the pyramids stood defiant, whispering the stories of a civilization that refused to be forgotten. But Egypt wasn't the only empire to rise to unimaginable heights and come crashing down. In fact, their neighbors, the Romans, were next in line for a spectacular downfall. The story of ancient Egypt isn't just about the past, it's about the present. It reminds us of the fragility of power, the strength of vision, and the timeless impact of human ambition. If a civilization that lasted 3,000 years can fall, what lessons does that leave for us today? If you found the rise and fall of Egypt fascinating, you'll love what happened next with the Roman Empire. Their story is one of conquest, betrayal, and epic drama. Click here to watch the video and dive into the extraordinary saga of Rome.